Hey Eurovision fans, Zoe will represent Switzerland in Eurovision 2025 with her song Voyage. I'm going to listen back to the music video, give you my analysis of the artist, the song and the staging, and see how this could do in the Eurovision final. So, let's kiki. Hi, my name is Tom, I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. So obviously Switzerland are hosting Eurovision this year, and they have internally selected again, which is a method that they've been using now for the last few years, which has been working really well. I believe that they get all their submissions in, and then they use a variety of juries and focus groups to pick out which of the songs is the best. I think there was a lot of pressure on them to pick a female artist after having 6 male artists in a row. But this internal selection system has been working really well for them since they started this in 2019. They've qualified every single year, coming 4th, 1st, 9th, 7th and 4th in those semi-finals, and then going on to have 3 top 4 finishes. Luca Hani coming 4th in 2019, John's Tears coming 3rd in 2021, and then obviously winning last year. So this is a really great formula for them. You may remember my climbers and folders videos that I did last year, where I looked at the countries with the best trajectories in the contest right now, and Switzerland were number 1. So not surprising that they ended up getting the win last year. I'll be so fascinated to see, do they want to win again? Are they okay with that concept? Because sometimes you can see the countries winning again is just so low in their priority list that they just kind of pick anyone and they feel like they don't even want to entertain that risk. So I'll be really curious about Switzerland, because I do think of them as quite a secretive country. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes most of the time. In any case, the representative this year is Zoe. I don't know how to pronounce her surname. I don't know if it's Me or Më or Meh or something completely different. Please tell me down below. I'm having a terrible time with pronunciation this year. Her real name is Zoe Alina Kressler. She is 24 years old and she was born in Basel. So she is performing in her home city. She can stay with her parents. The Swiss delegation can save some money on accommodation. She started writing songs at the age of 10 and she is known for her unique poetry pop style, which combines German and French as well as pop and chanson. And you can actually see that if you look at her singles, because we've got a mix of German, French and English names in the singles that she released. In fact, there's only one song that's definitely English, which is Overdose from last year. The song this year is Voyage. I don't know if it's in French or English. I'm going to find out really soon. Voyage makes me think of Kate Ryan, Voyage, which itself was a cover of Desireless. I have absolutely no idea what I'm looking at. I've had 0 spoilers. I've literally just woken up and I'm going straight into this. I wonder, could this be like a bit of a female ballad, or are we going beats? I have no idea. I haven't listened to her back catalogue. In a perfect world I'd do that, but I'm just too busy right now. And interestingly, she's won these awards, which seems to be some sort of musical award given out in Switzerland, which has been won by Marius Bear and Nemo. So interesting that this seems to be like a kind of interesting indicator on who might potentially be representing Switzerland. There's a bit of a connection. She's also performed as well with Remo Ferrer. So she's already got big Eurovision connections. I'm reacting to the music video. I'll leave as much of the original audio and visuals in as I'm allowed to, which for the Swiss songs is not very much. They're pretty strict. If I do need to make changes, I'll put the original up onto my Patreon. Please help the channel reach 20,000 subs. We're so close. We can do it. Subscribe down below. It's free. Let's go. Zoe. I'm just going to call her Zoe because I just don't want to say her surname wrong. Do you know what? It's actually quite nice going into a song. I have absolutely no idea what this could be. Anything from club beats popra to a soft tinkly jazz ballad. I have no... This is Zoe singing Voyage. You want to know my secret bang? Oh, there's Zoe. Oh, in French. Oh, beautiful, soft jazzy voice. Waiting for the bus. Ooh, very sweet so far. Yes, I can get a little bit of that chanson feel. It feels very different so far from everyone else. Tiny bit in the vein of Marius Bear, but I'm enjoying this more than I did Marius. Okay, she's picking up a teddy. It's very delicate, it's very minimalist. Yeah, it's got a real niche. It sounds quite unique. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else who's like this right now? A tiny bit like Italy. It's got that softness. It's very thoughtful. I feel like she's thinking about every word. It's very lovely. Elegant, sophisticated. Lovely kind of accompanying herself in the back. Simple music video, her on a crosswalk, just watching all the people go by. It's not big. This isn't going for the Eurovision win, definitely not. It's a solid, beautiful Swiss entry though. I can see some people are going to love this. It's going to be the number 1 because it's so distinct. Other people are going to find it a little bit maybe too calm, lacking impact. Yeah, very melancholy here. Oh, she's mixing up at the end. How much is left? A minute. Okay, it's the bridge into the last chorus. Some imagery now flashing of flowers. Breaking flowers. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a Disney feel to it. It doesn't sound as childish as a Disney film, but it's got that kind of innocence. Yeah, I think this is really just leaning into its niche very heavily. You can see how it does. Very sweet, very lovely. Okay, first my impressions of the song. Yep, elegant, gorgeous, soft ballad. I'm already thinking now that can do very well with the jury. I wonder how it will do with the televote though. I'll be a little bit worried that could maybe not do great. It depends on the staging. We'll talk about that later. Song for now, yeah, lovely. I think very relaxing. I think that's the type of thing I'd love to listen to in the morning when I wake up, or if I'm just having like a thoughtful moment to myself outside, trying to meditate a little bit. You know, we have loads of fun and upbeat boppy entries. It's nice to have maybe a calmer moment as well. I asked myself the question at the start, would Switzerland be trying to go for a second win in a row? It doesn't appear so. Now, we don't know, were there more competitive songs this year or not? You know, when you are the host and you automatically qualify to the final, you can show off a different side of your music scene that maybe Switzerland wouldn't have wanted to put that into a semi-final because it might not have qualified. I think it's safe to say that would be a little bit difficult to qualify with. So maybe they want to take advantage of that and show off something a little bit different from their music scene, show off the different facets of it. And it does feel unique. You know, I felt a tiny bit of the thoughtfulness from John Steers. I felt some of the ballad feels from Remo. So I did get like a Swiss identity from it. This kind of seriousness. Yeah, it didn't feel derivative at all. I thought that was lovely. I'm very sure I'll download it. It's not going to be something I'm constantly going to on my playlist, but when I want a nice calm moment, I think this would be so lovely. It's like when you're walking out in nature or you're going on a hike to listen to the song, it could be like really evocative for kind of like meditating and just like sitting with your thoughts. So I like that. It's something different. Let's go and have a look at the lyrics and then I'll go for a second listen. Shout out to Eurovision World for always having lyrics up. I mean, to see how the community reacts to this. I expect there's going to be a mix of people saying that it's a bit too boring for them. I think there can be other people like, this is just such a unique moment, and that'll be their number one. Something that they've been waiting for, because it does feel like it's filling in a gap of something that doesn't exist right. I think we might actually get something possibly similar to this from France, but no one's doing this like beautiful minimalist ballad like this. You know, we do have ballads this year, but a lot of them are more shouty. That's why I compared him to Italy, because Italy doesn't feel the need to shout either with his ballad. So that actually feels like they feel a little bit like brother and sister. So the whole song is in French, which is really nice. Let's read the English translation of the lyrics. Voyage. My innocent eyes discover the world in a naive way that could confuse the demons of the night. You throw words at me that choke me. No matter what happens, I lie down close to you tonight. One day you'll understand that flowers are more beautiful when you water them. You've cut me so many times. So feeling perhaps unappreciated by somebody close to them. If you want, I'll go with you to take a trip. Take a trip with you. Let me love you even if you don't love me. Let me love you even if you don't love me. I think that's one of the key lyrics of the whole thing. Laisse-moi t'aimer même si tu m'aimes pas. I think that kind of sums up the whole song. And I love that as well when you have a song where it summed up in one lyric. Kind of like Nemo last year where they had the lyric, somewhere between the O's and ones, that's where I found my kingdom come. That was like a beautiful line as well that summed up the entirety of the song. Let me love you even if you don't love me. I'll drown in your tears. I'll share your soul's emptiness. You devour me with your gaze. No matter what happens, I'll never stop singing for you. One day you'll understand that flowers are more beautiful when you water them. You've cut me so many times. I think that's why we're getting those images of the flowers towards the end. They were like, some of the flowers looked a little bit old, and I think some of them were getting thrown on the ground and damaged. If you want, I'll go with you to take a trip with you. And then we have that until the end. So there's a slight sense of being in this kind of like emotionally abusive relationship. Yeah, the only part I don't really get is the, if you want, I'll go with you to take a trip. I wonder if she's saying that like she's just going to keep following this person regardless of how they treat her. What's your interpretation of the lyrics? Leave it down below. I like that it's a little bit mysterious as well. That's kind of, especially like I said earlier, if you're using this as a meditative song, being able to interpret the lyrics to fit to whatever problems or issues you're having in your life makes it even a little bit more special. Okay, I'm going to go in for a second listen before I start talking about the staging. It is a very unique entry. It's utterly elegant. A couple of things that remind me of a tiny bit of Ramonda last year from Serbia. That's obviously a little bit more intense, and she goes into some bigger notes. That was very understated. Like, she doesn't really get into big notes at any point. It's very calm. It's very restrained, which I like, because we get so many ballads which feel like a tool to show off the singer's voice, and they have to kind of belt things out. I'm not talking about Serbia anymore now, I'm just talking about in general with ballads. So it's nice to have one that feels a lot more humble and not about shouting. It's interesting because there's this sharp kind of violin part that comes in 2/3 of the way through the song. I kind of get why they've done that, because it's going to give them more options for the staging, because there is this change up in the speed and the volume of the song. So they can change, have a color palette, or they can have something happen. As listening to the song, it does feel a tiny bit jarring, because we got this beautiful calm moment, and then it gets a little bit stressy, and then we go into this kind of like slightly more epic Mary Poppins, Pocahontas ending. So yeah, I get why they did that, but I don't know how I feel about it yet. Maybe I'll end up actually appreciating that mix-up. But I just found myself in the first 2 minutes getting very reflective. It's a great meditative song, and then that does kind of take me out of the mood a little bit, but maybe they're just being realistic that if they have meditative throughout the whole song, people are going to think it's sleepy, or they'll think it's uninteresting or whatever, and they'll leave the room. Possibly a little bit of strategy there, just doing a little bit of a mix-up. Let's talk about the staging now. I love her demeanor in the music video. She's very serene, like what's happening in the music video is a dream. She's got a beautiful way of emoting with her eyes, just these eye flicks as she watches people go by. This could be a real unique standout moment. I'm thinking a little bit now of Portugal in 2018, O Jardim, which had a very similar mood, really calm, really beautiful, no shouting at all. That ended up coming last in the final. In my opinion, possibly the best song to ever come last in the Eurovision final ever. I would also say 2G Stay would be one of my favorites as well. Having said that, I do believe Portugal got one of the highest scores for a last place finishing country ever. I'm not sure if it's the most, but it's definitely one of. Yeah, I hope it doesn't go down that path. I think it'll come down to staging if they bring it to life. There was a story in that music video of her on this crosswalk and being able to start and stop time by touching people's shoulder, and this girl, which I assume represents her, she seemed to make peace with the girl across the road and then disappeared. There's a slight ambiguity in all the visuals, and I feel like there's an ambiguity in the lyrics as well, which is fine. There's a nice to have a little bit of mystery and open to interpretation. They do need to bring a storyline and an elegance to the staging to make sure that they don't have the same fate as O Jardim, which I feel was very hard done by. I think really lean into the mood and the fact that this is so distinct, somber, beautiful, soft lighting. I'd like to see maybe some spotlights, completely in darkness perhaps, with some spotlights. I don't think I want to see the crowd with this. I don't think that's going to help with the mood. I don't want to see people with flags and inflatable hammers. So just get really her on her own. One person acting with her on stage and the spotlights following around, and then spotlight can pick out certain things on the stage. I think that could super stand out from everyone else. We have so many big fun songs this year that actually, if this gets a really nice running order, it could fit in really nicely. If this is between Barabada Bastu and Espresso Macchiato, you know, it's really going to stand out, which could affect how it does in the final. You know, I think historically, songs like this haven't done great. So I think the staging team is going to have to really show some innovation to make this pop. Switzerland do not need to qualify this year. There's good news for everybody else, because they're on a 5 qualification streak right now. So if they were in the contest, they would be taking up someone else's spot. So that's good news for those in the semi. So what could this do in the final? I think jury-wise, this should do pretty well. Definitely higher than the televote. Having said that, like I said, Portugal didn't do amazing. That only got 21 points in the jury, which was pretty surprising. Actually, another song that's in a very similar vein that did do well with the jury is Bulgaria in 2021, Growing Up Is Getting Old by Victoria. That came 6th in the jury with 140 points, and then the televote got 30. Now that had wonderful staging, absolutely beautiful. And Victoria did the same thing, where she gave this very demure, not shouty, calm, mature performance that looked really wonderful on stage. And I remember at one point there was a bit of buzz saying that that could potentially win. I remember going up the odds a lot. So if they can do something really excellent like that, I can see this getting a similar score. I feel like that's the peak though. I feel like the best it can possibly do is get what Bulgaria got, that 140 points on the jury and the 30 in the televote. That seems like a best case scenario. And then a worst case scenario is what happened to O Jardim. This is a chance for the Swiss delegation to show off their staging capabilities. Take advantage of the year as well. Like I said, there aren't that many songs like this. So it does have a slight risky wildcard feel to it, but I like this as a host entry. I think it's good to do a little bit of experimentation. I don't think that Switzerland would send this in a normal year. I think they would say this would be too hard to qualify with, and would probably just go for something, even if it was the best song, I think they'd go for something else. I think because we've seen recently they do have a lot of strategy in that sense. Okay, let's have a look at the odds. This was sitting in 26th for a long time. In case you don't know, I do Eurovision odds update. I'll do one of those pretty soon because we may have a new number one coming soon. This has moved up. So this has moved up to 18th after previously being kind of like 26 to 24 for a long time. And then as rumors came out about her, she started to creep up a little bit. So that's nice to see that it's moved up, not down. I personally can't see this winning. I just can't see there being enough of a televote. The violin bit coming in gives a little bit of a moment for staging, but I don't know what they could do that's really like exhilarating, crazy, like what Nemo did, that still fits with the song. If they can come up with that though, more power to them. But I think that is quite a difficult bridge to cross. Now, very curious to see what is the Eurovision fandom. I would imagine this is kind of like middle to bottom half. Yes, it is. It's 14th out of 34 on the Eurovision scoreboard. Keep in mind that there's recency bias, and we tend to see that songs drop down. I'd expect this to drop down around 3 or so places to finish eventually in 17th. So kind of like right in the middle. But really nice to see that this has got a nice reception. As I said, I think some people are just going to like not rate this at all. It's too slow. The beats per minute isn't enough for them. But anyone else looking for that moment, I think this is going to be their number one. So I think it'll be kind of a little bit black and white Marmite in terms of what people are ranking it. And obviously people are in the middle as well. But I think that's a really lovely entry from Switzerland. I'll be interested to see if it makes it into my top 10 at the end of the season. Okay, that's what I thought about Zoë singing Voyage for Switzerland. What did you think? Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me on PayPal and Buy Me Coffee, especially now. I just paid for my accommodation and flights to Switzerland. Oh my God, it was so expensive. If you think I need an espresso macchiato, I'll leave a QR code for you here and a link in the description. And of course, thank you to my wonderful patrons for patronizing me from all around the world. On my Patreon, you can get some original audio and visuals, some early releases. You can be in the credits. You can support the channel. Go check it out if you're a fan. But of course, thank you so much just for being here. I'm seeing another Eurovision analysis video very, very, very soon. Goodbye.